I spent most of my time doing house chores. Now that must have been really frustrating. Oh my gosh. House chores is like, it's, I think house chores is one of the hardest things that a person can do because there's no direct reward. Nobody pays you to do house chores. And it's endless. It never ends. And you have to do the same thing again and again. So it's repetitive and it's endless and there's no reward. And nobody even thanks you in most cases. In most cases, nobody even thanks you for doing the house chores. Yeah, nobody appreciates it. Nobody appreciates it. It's repetitive. 반복적이라는 얘기야, repetitive. It's repetitive. It's endless. And nobody thanks you and you don't get paid. Hey everybody, it's me again. I was just about to finish editing this video when it suddenly occurred to me that there's an expression that I'm sure many of you, probably most of you, are really curious about right now, but didn't come up during the live stream last night, which is why it didn't end up in the edited clips that you just watched. And the expression is 집안일은 해도 티가 안 난다, right? 집안일은 해도 티가 안 나요, right? Because this is probably one of the most common things that we say about house chores, about doing house chores, right? And probably the most frustrating aspect of it. Not many people really appreciate people who do the housework, who do the house chores, because 티가 안 나서, right? And so let me just get right to it. The way I would express that, and the way I think most people would talk about that in English, the way they would say that, is that it's hardly noticeable. Yeah, hardly noticeable. Hardly noticeable. That means it's almost unnoticeable. I wouldn't say almost unnoticeable, and I wouldn't really say it's unnoticeable. I would say it's hardly noticeable. I wouldn't even say barely. I would say hardly noticeable. It's hardly noticeable. And the way I would put that into an actual sentence in conversation, the way I would talk about that in an actual conversation is first I would express how frustrating it is. I would say, I hate doing house chores. Doing house chore is so frustrating. And then I would say, because it's hardly noticeable. I would not say house chores are unnoticeable or house chores are hardly noticeable. And I wouldn't say doing house chores is hardly noticeable. I wouldn't even say it like that because that doesn't really make sense. Doing housework is hardly noticeable. If you really think about it, it doesn't really make sense. And so the way I would say it again, the way I would actually talk about it in a conversation would be, first I would express how frustrating it is, how much I hate it. I would say, it's so frustrating. Doing house chores is so annoying. It's just so frustrating. And the reason is because it's hardly noticeable. It's hardly noticeable. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hardly noticeable? Wow, hardly noticeable? Damn, that's really hard to say. I can barely pronounce that, right? That's what you're thinking, right? However, that's what I would say. And not because it's grammatically more accurate or it's just more polite. No, that's just how I would say it. And that's pretty much what I would expect a native speaker would say, that it's hardly noticeable. The thing that makes house chores so annoying is the fact that it's hardly noticeable. The thing that makes house chores so annoying is the fact that it's hardly noticeable. People hardly notice it. Your family members, they hardly notice that you are doing the house chores. And so it's hard for them to appreciate it. That's why they hardly appreciate it. That's probably the most frustrating thing. Yeah, that's probably the most frustrating thing about doing house chores.
Oh yeah, I've had troubles upon my mind. Seems like struggle always on the line. Ups and downs, it all takes time. Lord, grab my hand so we can fly. Whoa, I just need that comfort. It's like everything they want from me.